My guides do often bring people that have passed to me so that I can get the messages to the person in front of me. I would say it's less often that the client's guides will bring someone through, at least from my experience. I'm sure that it happens, though. Are there specific guides for specific things? The answer to that is yes. My mediumship training happened at the Spiritualist Church. The specific Spiritualist church that I went to was in Ferndale, Michigan, and it's called the Center of Enlightenment. Beautiful, beautiful people there, super awesome, and really, really helpful with directing me to understand my mediumship skills and to get in touch with spirit and to understand what that looked like and what that sounded like. So if this video intrigues you and you want to learn more about this, I highly, highly recommend that if you're in Michigan, that you seek out the Center of Enlightenment. I can't speak to any other churches or organizations because I haven't experienced them, but getting in touch with people who know more about it than you, or getting in touch with people who have more information, and who make you feel safe and know how to protect a space so that when you are letting spirit come through, you know what spirits are coming through. One of the most important things when you're interacting with spirit of any kind is to know what it is, who it is you're dealing with, how it makes you feel, and doing a major bubble of protection around yourself so that nothing you don't want comes in. And remembering that when it comes down to that, you are the summoner of spirit, and you are the protector. You are empowered. The universe has given you those skills and those tools to keep yourself safe. So make sure that you employ all of those skills. So in the Spiritualist Church, I was taught that everyone has at least the following 5 guides. Most people have more, but everyone has at least these 5. I don't know how I feel about that. It does kind of ring true, except for one of them. One of them feels weird to me, but I'll explain. So number 1 is a gatekeeper. And that is a spirit that has the power to stop or let through whatever it is that you're seeking, whether it's information, whether it's other spirits. And they are kind of, in my mind, my gatekeeper was also my protector. Those characteristics kind of meshed into one. And so he was kind of like a do-it-all kind of guy. And so I didn't really have 2 separate ones, but the second one is a protector. So sometimes I think they can do double duty. But I haven't met anyone else that has said that was the case, so maybe mine was weird. A joy guide. And this one I struggle with. I'm a Capricorn. I'm not a super joyous person. I don't describe much in my life as joyous. And so I'm constantly trying to get in touch with her. I know that my joy guide is a female. I know her name. I know what she looks like. But she doesn't pop in super often. So as well-versed as I am interacting with a lot of my guides, she's one that still kind of eludes me. And, we all have growing to do, right? Another one is the doctor teacher. And I feel like this one is the one who educates, who gives wisdom and teaches, and also kind of looks after your energetic wellness. Mine is named Eustace, and he wears this like tweed jacket with like the leather patches on the elbows. It's really, and little wire glasses. He was the first one that came. Well, he was the first one that came to me myself. My gatekeeper was actually told to me by another medium. She told me his name. She told me what he looked like. And, I also thought she was crazy. But then the more that I kept my mind open and decided to just try and interact with this spirit guide in case he was real, the more I found that he was. And he actually impacted my life quite a lot. And then the 5th one, and this is the one that always makes me feel a little weird, is the Spiritualist Church asserts that every human on the earth has a Native American guide. I don't know why we would. I don't know why they'd be Native American specifically and not South American or Native Russian. I mean, I don't know. But the more I thought about it, and I consulted with my guides, they were pointing to the connection between us and Gaia, us and Mother Earth, us and nature. And I will say that my experience of the Native American culture is that they are way, way further along that path than most of us. They have a connection to the earth and a connection to nature that honestly we can only dream of. And so I don't think I've ever met my Native American guide. I don't know that I have one. I'm going to assume that I do. I have a very strong connection to earth and a very strong connection to nature. But even if that one's not correct, having a guide that specifically connects you to nature and where you're from makes sense to me. So that's kind of how I view that one. But like I said, other than those 5, I find a lot of people have deceased ancestors, deceased loved ones, ascended masters, and angels that also pop in as guides. So let's see. How can I talk with and hear my spirit guides? This is probably the biggest question that I get. Sorry, very dry in here. Like I said initially, learning to listen to and trust your intuition is super, super important. It is the first thing you need to do. And I think a lot of people go, I want to hear from my spirit guides. I want to hear from them right now. And they're like, I'm listening. Where are my spirit guides? I know you're around. Where's my dead grandpa? I know he wants to talk to me. And it just doesn't work that way. I wish that it did. It doesn't work that way for a couple of reasons. One reason is it takes a lot of effort for someone who has passed to muster up the energy to speak to you. It takes a lot of energy for them to move something. It takes a lot of energy for them to do physical things in our plane of existence. And so depending on how long they've been passed, depending on if they want to or not, and depending on a variety of other things, they may not talk to you. They may not ever move something. They may not ever interact with you in a physical way. And so it's important to learn to trust your intuition because it's easier for them to communicate to you through your own thoughts. Like I said, they don't sound like you. It sounds like them, or it sounds like something that you would never say to you. So even if it sounds like your voice, or the way your head sounds to you, it still has this ring of, I wouldn't say that to me. Like, where the hell did that come from? That is usually spirit talking to you. So the more that you interact with your intuition and the more that you learn to distinguish it from your own thoughts, the closer you get to understanding and having in-depth communication with spirit. It requires practice, a lot of practice. I've been doing this for about 8 years, and it's only recently, I would say in the last year, where I can ask the question, get the answer, and give it to the client like that. It takes focus when you start. Eventually, it'll just become part of your life, and it'll be like second nature, but it does take practice, and it does take that trust that we were talking about. Trust is developed. It isn't just automatically there. And they have to learn to trust you. They have to learn to trust that you are doing the right thing with the information that they give, that you are not scamming clients, that you're not passing along information for your own benefit, that you are integrous and upright and honest in what you're doing and the messages that you're passing along, and that you have a heart and a level of care for the people that you're here to help. That is important to them, and it should be important to us as mediums and as people who hear from spirit. One of the initial ways that you may start to hear from spirit is like a ringing or a buzzing in your ear, and it's usually one ear over the other. That's kind of the initial phase of learning to hear from spirit. Now, some people do physically hear spirit speak to them in their ear. The story I told you about my great-grandmother, Anna, I do physically hear her in my ear, as though someone was laying next to me, screaming into the side of my head. She's the only one I hear that way. Everyone else, it's like a little voice inside my head. You might get messages from spirit in a totally different way. There was a gentleman in my mediumship class who got his messages like that little ticker tape message thing that goes across the bottom of CNN. That's how it would play through in his head. And I thought, wow, that's cool. Like, that'd be a great way to receive messages from spirit. Some people get a smell. I do get smells. Some people get a taste. I do get tastes as well. When I have to talk to a client about a physical ailment, they give me the feeling of that physical ailment until I directly address it with the client. So in one particular case, my spirit guides made me throw up in a restaurant so that I could discuss with her the fact that she was making herself sick over this relationship she was trying to end. And we've come to a place now where I told my guides, you really just don't have to make me throw up. Just give me the sense of having to throw up so that I don't actually, have to. But for everyone, the messages come through differently. And sometimes, even still, I don't always know, is that my physical body or is that a message? Is that me or is that spirit? Depending on the scenario. This last October, I went to Salem with my cousin. And when I got there, I felt absolutely positively ill. And I had done some protection, done some, bubbling of myself, not realizing how much more protection I needed to do. I ended up with this really difficult, shallow breathing to the point where I was like, oh my God, maybe I've got COVID. Like, what the hell's going on? And I realized that we were in the area of a man who had been pressed to death for being a witch. They just kept piling stones on his body until it crushed him. And he was trying to let me know he was there. And so we Googled him, figured out his name. I addressed him directly. I put a bigger bubble of protection around me and my cousin, and that feeling went away. But he wanted to come through and let us know he was there. He wanted to come through and let us know what happened. He wanted to come through and let us know he hasn't left. He's still making sure people know what happened there. And it was a moving experience. And it was terrifying because I thought, oh my God, I have COVID. I could be sick. I could be infecting other people. Like, what's going on? And then once I realized that pain was not mine, I was able to then remove it and interact with spirit in a way that helped him be at ease. I let him know I would pass on his message. And then also let him know that if I come back and he wants me to help him cross over, I can do that. But spirit shows themselves in odd ways. Because a lot of times you're going to feel like the message is you. You're going to feel like that pain is you. You're going to feel like that smell is just some weird smell. But a lot of us have experienced smells that are our ancestors. I know every time I smell lilacs in the middle of winter for no good reason, I know that's my grandma. When I smell cherry tobacco in a pipe, I know that's my great grandpa Lewis. I know that. And I'm sure you've experienced smells as well. That's spirit trying to communicate to you. And very often, if it's your grandma or your grandpa or whatever, and it happens a lot, it's because they're there because they probably want to be your guide or are your guide and have been looking after you and guiding you. So take those moments and enjoy them, embrace them, ask them. When that happens, say, hey, grandma or hey, grandpa or whoever it is, I smell that. Can you communicate to me more? Can you talk to me more? I get a ringing in my ear. I can't understand what that means. Can you find another way to talk to me so that I understand you? Because if they don't know you don't understand, they're just going to keep making your ear ring. They're just going to keep giving you a smell and assuming you know what it means. So talk to them and let them know. If you're struggling, if you don't want to hear from spirit, some people don't. If it freaks you out, if you don't think you're going to be able to distinguish them from your own inner voice, consult a medium. Talk to someone like me. I will help you. Any medium worth their salt will help you get in touch with your deceased loved ones. Know that they don't always come through on demand. Know that sometimes other people show up when you're asking for certain ones. The ones that show up are the ones that are meant to show up. They're the ones that have the message for you right now, or they're the ones that you can help right now. So take that into consideration. But mediums, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you with that. The biggest thing that I think, and probably my best advice as far as communicating with spirit, if you're open to it, if you hear from them and you know that you do, if you want to develop that language and communicate with them more, I have some tips that I have used that have really, really helped. So I'm going to cover some that I already mentioned. Number one, talk to them like you would a perfect stranger, with respect, with courtesy. Please and thank you. Ask. Don't make demands. Give them gratitude. Say thank you. Tell them you're grateful when they come through. Tell them that you understand how much effort it takes for them to come through and pass along a message to you. Don't try to make deals. Tell me where the safe key is and I'll la la la. Or like, not all information is for you, and not all information is for right now. Sometimes there will be a message that you'll get 6 weeks from now that would have absolutely screwed up a situation if you knew it sooner, or could have absolutely wrecked what was coming for you, the gift that was going to be given to you, if it was given to you sooner. Everything goes according to when it's supposed to, when it's going to be the most appropriate time for you to have the information. So if you're frustrated and you want to know something and you're constantly asking, poking at them, that's just not the best way to get your answer. And a lot of times they'll just tell you no and go away. And especially with ancestors, you really don't want to, if you want them around, if you want to communicate with them, don't piss them off. They have responses just like we do. They were once living in human bodies like we do. Ask them to communicate with you in a way that you learn best. So I know that I'm a visual learner. I'm a tactile learner. And so there's certain ways of communicating that I'm going to get more clearly. That is one reason I'm a tarot reader. Touching the cards, looking at the cards, seeing the images on the cards conveys messages to me. And so one of the things that I decided to do was create this key or this log of what images mean to me, and then shared it with them. So you make a list. Red rose means love. Balloon means birthday. And it's stuff that you would already normally think of. You don't have to work hard to create this, right? When I see a yellow ribbon, I think of, someone who's come back from the war. There's just certain symbols that mean something to you innately and have for your whole life. Let your guides know what those are so that when they show you a tarot card, or when they show you something on TV, or when they show you something out in your normal daily life, that plus a message will make your head go, oh, this is about love, or this is about so-and-so's birthday, or this is a warning, this is a caution. One of my favorite metaphysical movies is Stir of Echoes. And Kevin Bacon in that movie, once he's able to open up his mind and see and process and hear from spirit, when something goes wrong, everything flashes red in that movie, kind of like brake lights on a car. And it actually guided him to where he needed to be to save his son. If you haven't seen the movie, I really haven't spoiled it, but it's really, really good movie, so I recommend it. But red flashing lights communicate something to most of us, usually an emergency, or something is wrong, or there's danger. And so creating that key and that log and sharing that with your guides is going to give them a really succinct way to give you messages. Ask them to show you a picture of something in your head. Ask them to show you by, when you're walking down the street, bringing your attention to something, bringing your attention to an animal, bringing your attention to a color. And then you would be surprised what you can Google. You can Google, what does a spirit animal mean? What does the color red mean? Like when you have a dream and there's a predominant color in the dream, you can Google, when I dream about this color, what does it mean? And your guides will take you to the right thing and give you the right message. I never imagined that I would say that Google could be an instrument of metaphysical workings, but it is. I use it constantly, and I trust that my guides are going to get me to the right site for the right information. So just a recap. Spirit guides, listening to them, learning from them, getting in touch with them starts with you and your intuition and trusting it. developing a language with them, giving them respect, believing that when you hear those things in your head, that they're true and they're there for you and they're there to give you guidance and help you, or to help someone else. It's very, very strongly based in trust. Self-trust is probably the biggest part of learning how to communicate with your spirit guides. So again, I'm Jeanette McAuliffe. My company is Intuitive Indigo. You can find me in my group on Facebook called The Broom Closet, where we talk about all of these things: spirit guides, crystals, yoga, mudras, spells, potions, anything that, is healing and light work and helping each other on our path in the spiritual and the metaphysical. And you're welcome to find me on my website as well, intuitiveindigo.com. I hope that this masterclass has been helpful for you. If you're interested in asking any questions about it, please feel free to drop me a message in any of those places. Also, I have programs that I offer for intuitive spiritual coaching, as well as mentoring magic, teaching you how to channel your inner magic and impact your life and the lives of people around you in a super positive way. So I'd love to hear from you. I hope this has been helpful. Have an awesome day.